Hello, friend. I'm so glad you're here for us for this fun conversation, meaningful conversation with Erica Liganza Gwynn, Enneagram 3 and a 3/8 pairing. Today, we're talking with her about stopping the lies you're believing about yourself in your marriage. This is a very powerful time together because many of you, if not most, spend time negatively scanning. That's a human thing about life, about marriage, about yourself, and what you should be doing. And today, we are going to help get you back on track. Of course, there's good shoulds that we should all be doing. But largely, a lot of the time, you're believing lies that say you need to be everything, you can't rest, you need to have a perfect marriage, all of these things. And we're fleshing them out with none better than a type 3 truth teller who has faced these lies, fallen flat like all of us when we've believed them, and now has a great book and also just a great conversation for us about this. It was the biggest message on her heart because, quite frankly, it's the one she needed the most. So I am supremely grateful for this myself. It's great timing, and I'm so pleased that you are here for it with us too. We're here for it all together, guys. And especially today, I want to remind you just before she comes on of some of the great things we have going on. Right now, we have a fun sale going on with most everything on our menu over at enneagramandmarriage.com. You can find it in the newsletter, but just for this week, if you're listening live, it's Halloween or Boo Week. And we have a code for you for being a loyal listener, Boo30, BOO30. And you are going to get 30% off of our glow guides, our wonderful deep dive guides for your type, and our planners, and almost everything on the site except the sessions, which are already on sale through the end of the year. So we're grateful. We're happy that you are here. And I hope you will take advantage of that sale. And then don't forget, if you haven't sent in your wonderful contest entries, which I have been loving hearing your contest entries from last week about the PERS and personality guests we had in her book, her mystery book. And we are so grateful for Sarah and her beautiful gift to us of 9 of those copies of her book. So we still have a few codes left for you. In fact, she is doing giveaways. Only one person so far has needed a virtual copy, but she's sending out the copies. So don't forget to write to Melody at enneagramandmarriage.com if you want to tell us your type and your favorite mystery book. Or you could also share your favorite mystery series or movie. We are in Only Murders in the Building right now, having so much fun with that one. And I was sharing with some friends about how one of my friends works on that movie set, and I missed that when I was in New York City. So that's a whole story. I will not squirrel away too much with it, but let's just say if I go back to NYC, I need to go tour that set, and I am going to. But in addition to that, we have a fun Halloween special coming up, so be on the lookout for that. And I hope if that's your holiday you celebrate as bringing light to the dark world, or however you celebrate, that you will enjoy your time with that too. So those are some of our announcements. And as we bring Erica on, I want you to be thinking about you and your need for just digging in and seeing what lies you're believing. And sometimes there's even a lie about, I can't be vulnerable with my feelings. I can't stop. And I talked about that in my Substack last weekend. And I hope you really paid attention or subscribe there as well. Of Light and Joy is the name of that Substack that I write, because I want you guys to really sit with it, that even though we probably grew up with all kinds of beliefs about ourselves that weren't true, sometimes you do need to do a little digging. And I was even digging around in scriptures a little bit today with Psalm 139, search me, O God, know my heart, test me and know my anxious thoughts. And that's even a reminder right there that we're allowed to search within and say, what are the anxious, unhealthy thoughts? And then counter those with the truth. But first you need to search to see what's going on with me. And so that's what I invite you to do with Erica today. This is just a forum for us to, yes, we share a little fun at the beginning, but to really dig in to say, if I don't dig in and stop the lies that are coming my way, I am not going to be a good steward of all the gifts I have, the time I have, but also the rest I need, the processing I need so that I can send my work out there well. So that is my desire for you and for all of us, that our work would be more and more complete as we do our inner work. And so let's talk to Erica and do just that. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us on the Enneagram and Marriage podcast. I'm so thankful to have you here. I've already loved chatting, and I cannot wait for our audience to meet you. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and maybe your Enneagram type if you know it?
I sure do. Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me, Christa. This is such a joy, such an honor.
Thank you.
My name is Erica. I am a content creator, a fellow podcaster, an author, a wife and a mom. And I have 2 kids, but another on the way. So I guess I'm a mom of 3 now. So that's exciting.
Congrats. I did not know that about Baby on the Way.
Yes. Baby on the way.
And book
I'm
baby
an
on the way.
and book baby on the way. I'm like birthing all the things right
This is
now.
great. Yes.
I am an Enneagram 3, 3 wing 2, last time I checked.
Mhm. I love that.
And
Yeah.
I am married to an 8.
Oh, yes. And this is Jamie, your husband.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
gosh.
I think he's a pretty textbook 8.
Wow. So two very strong types, and you're in that heart grouping where you want to make sure you connect emotionally, but that you're also that three that everyone knows you are going to get it done. You are going to be goal oriented. And then he is a person who is good at refining, as good at clarifying, and very bold in that body space. And it sounds like you're saying, oh, yeah, 100%, that's us.
I think so.
I
Hmm.
love that. What a strong, beautiful pairing. And whenever I see a big pairing like that, I'm like, okay, there's a lot gonna be blessed in the world outwardly. Like we all have different things. Sometimes it's inward, but you guys are both future focused, outward facing at times. And what's something you do to reconnect? I love asking that of busy couples. Wes and I are a busy couple too. What is something you love when you're like, we're busy, but we need our heart to heart time?
Oh, I love that. We are big on like having our shows and whatnot, but just kind of
Yes.
literally just connecting on the couch at the end of the night once the kids are down. And just not having our phones on us so that we can just kind of snuggle together and watch a show and talk about it. Or sometimes if we're just like needing to unwind after getting the kids down, sometimes it's like showing each other funny videos that we've seen throughout the day and just laughing together. And that always feels very connective and fun. So like very simple, but that's I feel like the life we're in right now in this stage of having young children, where
Hmm.
I'm like, sometimes I couldn't tell you the last time we had a really good like romantic date night out at a nice restaurant. And we're like,
Yeah.
you know what, in this season, that's okay. We're just connecting in other ways. Half the time by 9 p.m. we're like, let's go to bed now. It's like we're exhausted. So
Oh my gosh, you said something so healthy and so type three and so normative for this season of life. I love it. I just want to highlight it for audience members who may be looking grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Erica was very bold and truthful, like her three would be. And you also nailed it that this season of marriage with Kit Littles is supposed to just be the attachment phase, and we're supposed to mitigate expectations. Now, type threes being very grounded, they tend to keep us practical in that way. Whereas, for instance, types 1, 4, and 7, unfortunately, both my husband and Nat are idealists. And so sometimes we're like, why don't we have it all at every stage? And like, I just love learning the marriage seasons as well as you just naming from the pragmatic group of 3, 6, and 9. This is normal. This is healthy. So I hope listeners got that. How did you learn that? Was this just part of what you knew?
oh gosh, no, I think this was a learned thing because
Okay.
motherhood especially threw me into that where I was like, oh, if I want to genuinely enjoy my life, I need to mitigate my expectations. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
will miss out on a lot that I don't think I should or want to miss out on. So I think
Oh.
it really just came from just forcing myself to look at
Mm.
things realistically and be like, you know
Mhm.
what? That's okay. It's okay in
Mm.
this season. Like we can
Yeah.
we can shift the expectations and we can shift what the goals are so
Yeah.
that the actual end goal is
Yeah.
more important than how we get there, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Oh, it makes so much sense. And there are still ways that you said we are maintaining and connecting. We're putting phones away sometimes intentionally. We're looking at each other in the eyes. We're cuddling on the couch. You're taking marriage maintenance and you're doing it, but you're also making it fun and cozy. And I love that for this cozy mystery season we're in of fall for your book launch time where you're like, we're connecting, we're making a new baby. Like these are just fun ways your family is connecting. But you're also sharing something beautiful. And again, as a three, I love that your book has the word truth in it. Can you tell us about this brand new book we're so excited about?
Sure can. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's almost here. So
Yes.
it's called That's Just Not True: How to Replace the Lies You Didn't Know You Believed with
Oh, thank
God's
you.
Unchanging Truth. Oh no, that's fine. It's a mouthful,
Yeah.
but
Can
I'm
I have
really
you
excited
repeat
about
that
it.
one more time? So sorry. The whole
Sure.
title. Okay, thank you.
Sure. It's called That's Just Not True: How to Replace the Lies You Didn't Know You Believed with God's Unchanging Truth. And I'm really excited about it because I think it's so important for such a time as this, especially in the world that we are living in. So inside the book are 17 lies, but what I am also fondly referring to as half truths, because a half truth is still a whole lie, right?
Mm.
So there are 17 lies in the book, each one positioned in the table of contents in quotation marks, because they are things that we have thought, that we have said, that we have believed, that we've shared with other people, sometimes for years. And sometimes some of these things we've subconsciously believed and carried with us literally without even knowing it. And sometimes for, oh my gosh, decades. This is like stuff we've carried with us since childhood.
Yes.
So the book is, each chapter looks at one of these lies and we hold it up against scripture to say, okay, what does God actually have to say about this? Is
Mm.
this true? Or was this a trick of the enemy to get us to believe something that is not true about ourselves or about who God is or about who God has made us to be? So that's really the heartbeat behind the book. And it is, oof, it's might step on some people's toes, but I think in
Mhm.
the best way, in like such a loving hug to be like, hey, sis, I know this might not sound as good as the lie does, because
Mhm.
sometimes the lies sound good. That's why we fall for
Yeah.
them, right?
Oh my gosh.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but the ultimate hope is that there is a little bit more freedom on the other side to breathe a little bit easier and just feel a little bit lighter, even while we're living in the tension on this side of heaven.
Yeah. Oh, that was well said. And we have the joy of the Lord as our strength, but when we believe the lies, we put ourselves in all kinds of capacities, and we can get into some of them today, but as victims, as people who
Yeah.
can't do something or should not be angry or should not hope for good for their kids or whatever it is. Like we said earlier, should think that marriage should be perfect while you have little kids, that you should be on a date night every night. Those kinds of things. There's bad things and good things, but when we lie to ourselves and we don't allow for God's truth to be manifest in us, I love that you're tackling this topic because I think we all do it. It's probably the quick heuristic or the quick story that we tell ourselves, the negative one. Did you notice that when you were researching for the book, that there were some common lies that you saw women, wives, moms, even dads like tell themselves that you really noticed, oh gosh, these keep showing up?
Well, that's kind of how we narrowed down the table of contents. So a lot of it started with my own thoughts and experience and journey, and then it became expanding to my audience. And okay, have you
Mhm.
thought this? Have you thought this too? Like, and
Yeah.
and really honing in on like, what did it sound? What does it sound like in your brain? Like, what does
Mm.
your brain actually repeat back to you? Because
Mm.
there's so many different layers and levels of this. So I feel like there could be a part two and a part three because
Yeah.
even now
Yeah.
as I'm doing interviews and stuff, I'm like, oh man, there's another lie, like that lie, oh, we all fall for that one too. Like there are so many. And
Mhm.
I think they're all, you can almost break them down into different categories, right? Because there's
Mhm.
some that feel at first glance pretty negative, where
Yeah.
you look at that and you're like, yeah, I felt that. I don't want to feel that. I know in my heart of hearts that's probably not true. And I would like to break free from that. But then there's
Yeah.
somewhere at first glance they get a little confusing and it feels a little dicey because they sound good, because this world has positioned them as good or empowering or
Yeah.
something that we should be saying and feeling and cheering each other on with. But then when you dig deeper into it and actually hold it up against scripture, it's not true. And it can kind of throw you off a little bit because you're like, wait, what? It feels like God would want that for me. But
Yeah.
then when you unpack it further, you're like, oh, I could see. Oh, okay. It's actually maybe doing me more harm than good believing something like that. So
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
there's like an example of that one would be right how we kick off the book is one, and the lie is God won't ever give me more than I can handle.
Mm.
And that's one where we say that to each other and we say that to ourselves in a positive light. Like we say that with the best of intentions. We say that as a way to empower each other, like, oh, God won't ever give you more than you can handle. You can
Mm.
do it. But we see time and time again in scripture characters given absolutely more than they could humanly handle,
Yeah.
where they were forced into a position of
Mm.
surrender and
Yeah.
full faith in
Yeah.
the Father, not in themselves.
Mm.
And when you think about it a little bit deeper, you're like, oh, actually that's a whole lot of pressure if we have to live our lives thinking that every single hard hand that we are dealt in this life is something that we are just somehow supposed to handle and supposed to be able to figure out because God gave it to us. Because there's just some things that I think that's not going to be the case for. There's just some really hard, really deep stuff where we are absolutely thrown in over our heads and we need help from each other and from other people and from God to get through it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. So it's like different things like that where we're just breaking them down and holding them up against, shining some light on what does God actually have to say about this? And is that better and freer for us than the platitudes and half truths that we say to each other just to feel better in the moment?
You're right. We do the shortcut or heuristic to do the good work. I like how you named it. We often mean it well. I even did that with my husband in a conflict yesterday about something with one of our kids. He's like, I just want to make sure she's protected in this way. And I was like, oh, well, you're a justice fighter, so that's your job. And really, I just wanted to get to our fun relaxation. And he was looking for more like, let's dice this out. Let's actually process through. And I'm like, we've both had really long days. I'm going to do this quick heuristic. And then we ended up talking about it as a family because it was really about our daughter anyway. But like we were able to all identify like, oh my gosh, like without being mean to me, like I was believing a quick lie for I can just quickly do this. It'll be okay. Or like you said, like, oh, God will never give you more than you can handle. And then when you do get it, it feels you're like, I'm so ill equipped. Like, what's wrong with me? I should be able to handle this instead of like, oh, 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, in God's power, in his power, my weakness is made perfect. So I hear you saying this and a number of other lies are what you're addressing. And you said, which I love you as a three for this, even a few of them are hard truths that we need to hear. And thank you for being that truth teller to do it. Can you tell us maybe one more that you felt like I need to say this one, even though it's a bit tough?
Uh-huh. And this one I'll say because I feel like this is, well, actually, there's two here that I feel like will probably really hit home for the fellow
Yeah.
Enneagram threes.
Yeah.
Um, the first one being, I can do anything. And I feel
Mm.
like probably Enneagram threes just like shuddered among us. Like, what do you mean? Of course I can do anything I set my
Yeah.
mind to. Give me the goal and I'm gonna
Ah.
hit it.
Yeah.
And this was one that took me a while to get to, but then when I feel like I kind of unlocked it differently in motherhood, especially.
Mm.
Because so for me, this really came to light because when my daughter, who's now about to turn 7, when she was like probably 3-ish in preschool, we were doing these adorable little affirmations every day before school.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cute. It was like picture the cutest little 3-year-old ever. And we would be like, I am brave. I am strong. I am smart. I am kind. I am important. And I can do anything.
Oh my
And she would be like
God.
shouting it by the end. And it was so cute. You're like,
Oh,
wow, you're adorable. Of course you can
yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
And this was especially meaningful for me with her at the time because, spoiler alert, I kick off the book chapter 1 with part of her birth story, but she was born really, really early. She was born at 32 weeks. She was only 3 pounds when she was born. She was in the NICU for 73 days. So like girlfriend had a rough start to this life. She had a
Yeah.
feeding tube for 9 months.
Rachel.
And it really hit me one day when we were doing this. I can do anything because I also had the realistic understanding that based on her entry into this world, there may be some medical complications that she faces at some point in this life
Yeah.
that actually limit her in some way, or that she can't just pray her way through, push her way through, strive her way through, but that are truly there and you can't do anything about it. You're just like, well, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
I've always been the voice to her to be like, mommy will always tell you the truth. Like we all know every elementary school expert is going to come in being like, I know the truth. And so I've always said, mommy will
Yeah.
tell you the truth.
Mm.
And that all of a sudden felt like a conflict of interest to me, where I was like, I don't know if I can say to her, I can do anything, because if she comes up against some hurdle down the road, do I want her? How is she going to internalize that? Is she
Mm.
going to internalize that as mommy lied to me? Is she
Mm.
going to internalize that as God is holding out on me? Because
Yeah.
I don't believe that to be true either. I believe God had his hand on her entire birth story, on
Yeah.
her entire existence. Like this is part of her story.
Yeah.
And it is good. And I believe
Mm.
that to be true. So
Yes.
I feel like I can't, that's truly true. And is that truly what's going to serve her best?
Mm.
And diving into that more, I was like, actually, God didn't create any of us to do anything and everything. We all have limits, and that's
Yes.
not actually a bad thing. And I dove into it more with like Romans 12, where he's likening us to the body of Christ. And he's literally using the different, I started literally looking at the
Yeah.
parts of the body. And when you think
Mhm.
about it like that, and you're like, okay, we all have lungs that, filter our breath, and we have a heart that pumps oxygen through our body, and we have big toes that help us with stability, and we have pinky toes that are so uniquely equipped for finding every single coffee table corner in your house. Like each part of our body has a unique purpose, and they are not meant to do any other. They're not like this interchangeable thing, and that's not a bad thing. It comes together so beautifully. So it's
Mm.
like just shifting thought like that, where you're like, you know what? Maybe we can take the pressure off of ourselves that we don't have to do anything, even if that's meant to be empowering. It's okay if that feels really overwhelming, where you're like, whoa, I don't really want to do anything. I want to do the right thing. I want to do what
Yeah.
God made me to do, because
Yeah.
that's going to be different than what he made you to do, Krista.
Yeah.
And that does not mean that either one of us is
Mm.
bad or doing it wrong if we are
Mhm.
not trying to somehow master all of the other things.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Yes. Oh, you
yeah,
nailed
like
it.
that's one for the three.
That is one for the threes, and we're going to add 7 and 8 to that too, because all of those three aggressive assertive types, which you and I were talking about tri-type before we got on, you may even have some of that too, because I was like, gosh, I see like that 3, 7, 8 in her is so vibrant because I see that joy so big for you too. But like, of course, you said that comes from your two wing, but like, whatever your tri-type ends up being, some of our listeners know what that is, and many others, make sure you look it up if you don't. But it's one of those pieces that you're like, I could truly feel invincible because I have all these parts of me that are telling me, like, you've got this. And you're also wired that way. But when you see people with different wirings, which it's been so humbling for me to have children, my two oldest are withdrawing types. And they've really slowed Wes and I down in good ways. But it's shocking to have a 4 and a 9, although she's a social 9 who acts like a 3. But like, still, even as a peacemaker 9, we're like, where's your aggression assertion? Like, and then they teach us different things. So I love how in whatever you're really discovering for all of us assertive types is like there's gifts on the other side of that too that God has for us of rest and slowing down that your daughter may be bringing to you. It's just interesting. So thank you for helping us to see we don't have to tell our kids you have to be everything. That is enormous. And that
Yeah.
makes me think of your Instagram, how you have such a beautiful, large following, partly because you help us with fun hyperfixations. I was loving that. And my 3 daughter loves that too. But I also was naming that you're showing us even things you do when life is hard and it is not put together. And you were showing us you on the couch, exhausted sometimes. You were showing us you when you're crying. I'm so in awe of your vulnerability. So, can you tell us when we hit those moments and we're telling that lie, you can't fall apart, you can't be imperfect? What are a few of those hacks? I love that on your page, how you share. What are some things you do? And just allowing yourself to find that space of rest and homeostasis again.
I think first you have to give yourself permission to actually fall apart. Because I
Mm.
think a lot of times we kind of should ourselves into, oh, I should have this all together. I should be taking care of XYZ. I should be doing this instead. And we don't even give
Yes.
ourselves the space and the grace to actually have the moment we need to have.
Yes.
Which, like, sometimes you really just need a good cry on the bathroom floor. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's real. I'm like, there's so many times where I literally know at this point, I'm like, yeah, I gotta go cry. I'll be back in 20 minutes. And you just gotta fall apart for a little bit and then let it all out, and
Mm.
you let the emotion flow, and then all of a sudden you truly do feel better. You're like, okay, got that out of my system. We're good to, like, now I can actually start thinking about this a little bit more logically or practically or critically, and not as emotionally. But
Yeah.
you can't like stuff the emotions somewhere else thinking that they're going to go away.
Yeah.
um that's actually another chapter in the book, is the
Mhm.
lie, if I let it be, it will figure itself out. Because I think that's sometimes what we do, right? We're just like, oh, I'm just gonna like ignore it and pretend that it's not a thing, and then it will just magically not become a thing anymore. And
Mm.
it's like, oh, no, no, no. If you don't address it, you can't heal it. So sometimes you actually need to like look it in the face and be like, what are we truly feeling here? What are we truly thinking about here? What is actually going on? and address it, because you cannot put a band-aid on a cut that needs stitches.
Yeah.
So if we are just constantly band-aiding our problems or our feelings, thinking they'll just magically go away if we just don't think about it or don't talk about it or don't look at it long enough, sometimes that won't happen. Sometimes that will just leave you with like a nasty infection and a scar
Mm,
and a longer healing process.
mm,
So I think that's the most important practical number one, I guess you could say, is give yourself time to actually look at it and sit in the discomfort of that, because it can be really hard and uncomfortable to do that.
mm,
But
mhm,
so give yourself the time to actually sit, look at it, and ask yourself the hard questions and get uncomfortable with yourself in it, because that's going to be the only way to start to experience some healing on the other side, is allowing yourself to like,
mm.
okay, we got to go through it. We can't skirt around it anymore.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. And if we allow ourselves to see God is still with us in this midst, that can help a lot too. And that's what I love about your book as well, is you're sharing like, yes, there's a lot of things that we've been believing that aren't true, but yes, also God is with us in all of these things. And recently you talked on your page about betrayal and in just various ways of life. And I was wondering if you have any thoughts for people. A lot of our listeners have been through some sort of extended family betrayal or coming up on the holidays, or they've come across somebody with even their own partner. When people are facing the hard question of, wait a second, I've been running myself ragged as a mother, doing all the things, and now this big heartache has come. Where are you, God? What is something you're reminded of in those moments on the floor, bathroom, crying? And how does the Lord lift you up? Because I know those are those very real moments we're talking about.
It automatically makes me think of that. I don't know if it originated as a poem
Mm,
or what, but I feel like we all probably know the one, because it was like the type of quote that our parents had on some cutesy art on the bathroom growing up, the footprints in the sand.
mm-hmm. Yep, I know
Huh?
it. The
You know it,
footprints
right? Like
poem.
you know
Yep, we all
exactly
know
what it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows footprints in the sand, but I feel like it's such a powerful and true metaphor for this exact moment.
Right.
And it's not even one that I touched on in the in the book per se, but it makes me
Yeah.
think of this instantly,
Yeah.
just because we think in those moments that God has abandoned us and that he has somehow left us. So we feel alone. And we
Hmm.
forget that in those moments, it's like he promises that he's never leaving us. So it's in those moments that he is carrying us. And then we can look at the footprints in the sand as the analogy there, where we're looking at it and we're seeing footprints in the sand and we're thinking it's us. And we're looking around going, where are you, God? And God is literally the one carrying us. And he's like, hey, those are actually my footprints. I'm carrying you. You're,
Yes.
you're okay. So it's so seemingly simple, but at least for me, that's one that you just have to remind yourself of,
Mhm.
because in moments like that, especially, we tend, I think, to lean into our feelings too much, where we start believing that, we feel alone. So we're like, okay, that must be it. I must be alone,
Mm.
when we are promised that that is never the case. And we are
Yeah.
scripturally told that is never the case. So we have to literally challenge our feelings in those moments to be like, okay, hey, the feeling is real. I see it.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
that feeling is not based on reality, because that feeling is not based on truth. So that feeling is no longer valid, because I am not alone. So I can sit there and I can continue to feel that way, or I can challenge it and say, you know what? Here's the truth. The
Yeah.
truth is this: I don't feel in my heart that it is true right now, but I'm going to keep repeating it to myself until my head and my heart can align and
Mm.
get on board that, like, hey, regardless of how you feel in this moment, what is true for all time is this. So this
Mm.
moment will pass, this feeling will fade, it will continue on, and this is the truth that you can and should actually cling to get through this hard moment and into the next.
Mm. Thank you. And you really nailed it when you said we tend to, and I think especially as women, we've just been piloted to, for good reason, operate from that estrogen and emotional system. And so you're just reminding us like, allow yourself to feel, but do not let the feelings carry you and let God carry you. I love that poem that you brought us back to. And also, I'm thinking of that C.S. Lewis quote about something to the effect of faith is holding on to that which reason once accepted in spite of your changing moods. And that's what you landed on was like your mood might not be the direct place to actually take your advice from, but God's word is true. And these are the things you've learned. Did you have a pivotal moment, especially as a three, where you're like running, 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 and like, I have to be a human doing, and that God settled you and said you need rest rhythms too? Because I know I love that you do self care rhythms. And like we all know, that's not always three like, because threes can just push forward. So, what taught you that and what made you inspired in that way to write the book?
Honestly, I didn't have one specific moment
Yeah.
because for me, it was a long,
Mm.
long road to burnout
Mm.
that I was on.
Yeah.
It was just years and years
Yeah.
of burning the candle on both ends
Mm.
and wearing busy like a badge of honor and feeling like if I just keep pushing, if I just keep hustling, if I just keep going faster and farther, like somehow I will end up at this finish line with a gold star. And hate to break it to you, that's just not true. um
That's
instead I ended
hilarious.
up
Yeah.
instead I ended up like feeling sick and having stomach pain and being diagnosed with hypothyroidism and
Oh,
having difficulty conceiving and like all sorts of other issues because my body was like, "Oh, hey, you actually need to give me a break. Like I actually cannot go on, quite literally."
yeah. Oh,
So it was kind of a culmination of all of that where I had to look in the mirror and be like, hey, sis, what are you truly doing? Like, what
yeah.
is this for? Because this is not sustainable and
Yeah.
this is not even enjoyable. Like, what are you doing this for? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you had to learn that the long, hard way. And you're just letting our
Yeah.
young three listeners, our young seven, eight listeners, like anyone else who's running, I would say a lot of Enneagram ones, just allowing yourself to rest was also forced upon you. You also, God does, and I know, again, hard truth people hate hearing. He disciplines those he loves. Like sometimes you do fall on your face. He doesn't always prevent you from having something hard happen if you've been running too hard. And you're just being honest. You're like, it was blocking me from conceiving. It was getting in my way of the things that were truly life-giving to me and literally life-giving. So how could somebody do that who is right there, running, running, running? Of course, you know all the excuses. I have to. What could you tell them about slowing down a little bit? And it might even be for something that is from your book about one of these lies.
Well, I think some practical things that helped me is reframing rest because I think, well, this is another live that the threes will hear. If I'm not hustling, I'm lazy. Like that was the lie that fueled so many years of this for me was I truly believed if I was not hustling and if I was not working hard, it meant I was a lazy person. Like it was work is good, rest is bad. You cannot you need to earn your rest.
Mm,
So in reframing that, for me that looked like recognizing that rest is still productive. Like if you're thinking about going to the gym or working out, rest days are a part of your workout plans for a very specific reason because it is in rest that muscle is actually built. So
mm,
if you just keep going and just keep pushing, you're actually being counterproductive because your body is unable to build new muscle if you don't give it time to do so. So like
mm,
it's not that nothing is happening when you're it's not even only that nothing is happening when you're resting. It's that good things are happening and that time is essential for them to happen. So
mm,
I had if when I started reframing it like that, like, okay, not only is rest not bad, but rest is actually good and rest is productive because it is serving a purpose.
mm, mhm.
That kind of started shifting that for me from a practical standpoint because I was like, okay, it's not like we're just sitting on the couch eating bonbons here. Like that's good sometimes too, but like
Yeah.
my body actually needs to stop and my brain actually needs to stop. And this is a good like good things are physiologically happening in that time. So that is good and okay.
Yeah.
And then also looking at it from from a scriptural perspective, where I was able to look at that and go, you know what? Rest is not a reward for a job well done. Rest is a requirement for
Oh,
living in the image of your creator.
oh my
So,
gosh. Wow. Bell ringer. So good.
right? Like, I'll say it again because I feel like I needed to hear it
Yeah.
42 times. I'm like, I literally say it to myself. I'm like,
Please.
rest is not a reward for a job well done. Rest is a requirement for living in the image of your creator.
Oh my God.
And that is what we forget. We're like, God rested. Like he rested on the seventh day. He was not out there planning the eighth and the ninth day. Like my fellow threes, I'm sure we're that's what we would do. We're like, so where's our to-do list for the next day? What are we
Mhm.
doing after this? Like what's
Right.
coming? No, no, no. He literally blessed
Mhm.
the day of rest.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like he sat in it. He hung out. Like I would love to know what he was doing when he was resting, but like he was just resting.
Right.
So
Oh
we
my
who are we to think that if the God of the entire universe he was resting, who are we to think that we are better than rest? And he was like,
Exactly.
"Hey, this is literally part of how we are building this world."
Right. Right. And here I am literally like always wanting to be in my research mode, like, sorry, Lord, I have something better to do, research. And he's like, literally, you can't even research unless you rest. Like your research is going to be all forgotten by morning. And it's so funny that you think, I've got to get ahead. And it's like ridiculous. And I mean, again, total grace for all of us, of those of us who are such doers. But thank you for just bringing that home. That was beautiful. And I know we're landing soon, but I want to comment that it's funny, even biologically, I was studying with my son yesterday, and I was like, why do people say learn through osmosis? We were learning about osmosis again. And I was like, okay, let's just remind ourselves why people would use that analogy of like pillow time, rest, learning through osmosis. And it was like, hey, it was an old sci-fi adage. There was this hope that like you could be on your pillow and like maybe listening to, I'm going to learn French while I sleep or something. And of course, it was debunked. But what was said was actually really good in this article, that just as you said, how God made us, but when we do rest, we do get that capacity for learning. We do get our brains do get that cleaning. We can actually learn so much better. So I love that you just nailed it for scripture, for life, and you needed it and I needed it, and frankly probably most of our listeners need this, and your book contains a lot of this beautiful truth. So before we end, I just thought it would be helpful to check in with just when people get your book, what is the biggest hope? Like, who did you write this book for and why?
Wow. This is for, what's really funny about this is in the introduction of the book. I don't know if my fellow millennials will remember this,
Yeah.
but do you remember the song from like the early 2000s by Martina McBride, and it was called This One's for the Girls?
Yes. This one's
I'm
for the
like,
girls. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, that was like a
Amazing.
classic. I like distinctly remember belting that from my boombox like I was a queen.
Yeah.
Um, so here's this is what I said in the introduction. I said this, I'll read the shorter clips, not like the entire thing, but we'll give it to you because I feel like it is helpful. This one's for the girls who've ever felt like too much. This one's for the girls who've ever felt like never enough. This one's for the girls who used to wish upon a star. This one's for the girls who've been balancing all the balls. This one's for the girls who've ever felt like they can't catch a break. This one's for the girls in the waiting room. This one's for the girls who are straight up pooped. And there's each we break into those a little bit deeper too, but it's I think a lot of us were in the same boat where we were trying really hard and thought we were doing all the right things for so long, and life started to look much different than our Pinterest boards. And we're like at a point where we're like, okay, God, what am I missing? Like, what is it? Because I've thought I was doing everything right, but things aren't looking or feeling the way that I thought they would. And I don't really know what to do or where to go next.
Yeah.
And I would say this book is for us.
Wow.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And thank you for just even bringing God into that moment, because I can get so wrapped up into my research that I'm like, and then this psychological technique. And I really appreciate how you just reminded us all, like, That was even a prayer that you just beautifully prayed, that you're welcoming listeners to pray with you when you're having those moments. Pick up your book and also pray and connect with God in these moments, that he wants to be with you and carry you. And he knows life on this side of heaven in a fallen world is not going to be perfect, but you are going to be blessed if you allow for rest. And like you just said, connection. Like you wrote this for all of us who are overdoing, who are just in that space of a little bit of disillusionment from being idealists. And I just can't thank you enough personally. I'm so excited about this beautiful launch and getting to know you through a mutual friend, Mary Morantz. So thankful. Shout out to her for connecting us because she's amazing as well. But
Yeah.
tell us where we can find you, your beautiful Thrive Pod, and especially the new book.
Yes. So the book is available everywhere books are sold, which is so exciting. Or you can go to ericagwynn.com/books and get all of the information on it there as well. I have a podcast as well called the Thrive Podcast. And then I am over on Instagram at Erica Liganza, which is Ligenza, sharing my life and family and thoughts and all that good stuff over there too.
Wonderful. Guys, her page is so fun and it is a bop, honestly, in and of itself. So thank you for
Oh
your
my gosh,
beautiful
thank
work
you.
over there. It's so good. And I am so grateful for your book. We're so excited for you. And thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Christa.
Thank you guys so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I hope you have such a fun end of your Halloween week. I will see you midweek, but I also just want you guys to know that we are grateful for you here. Do not forget your Boo 30 sale through this Friday, October 31st. You can use that for coupons. That's your treat from Enneagram and Marriage, and I have it in the show notes for you. Don't forget Erica's beautiful book. I am so excited for you to get to learn from her. She has written this gorgeous book, That's Just Not True, How to Replace the Lies You Didn't Know You Believed with God's Unchanging Truth. It is a brand new release. We're so excited to share. And all of her Thrive podcasts and her notes are also there. And then don't forget the mystery. If you have not shared your mystery vote, we have all these goodies for you. Just write to Melody at enneagramandmarriage.com. We're paying attention to everything you have been sharing. So keep sharing. Thank you for survey results. We'll probably send one more reminder to you about that. But otherwise, we're just grateful that you guys are here, that you're learning, and take one thing from today that you're going to do, whether it be to grab that sale or grab that book or make sure you enter the contest or even something deeper that you're really set on that you are going to do from today, and remind yourself you are worthy to do this. So I'm thankful and I'm happy we get to spend more time midweek. I'll see you then. Have a great time till then. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you again for listening with us. It was so wonderful to have you. I love knowing we're doing this journey together, not perfectly, but with love, grace, and hopefully some fun too. If you loved today's episode, make sure you leave us a 5-star review at Apple Podcast or Spotify so others can find it too. Visit our show notes so you can get all the links from today's show, as well as enneagramandmarriage.com, the Instagram, the Facebook, and all over the place. Make sure you spread the word. Love living intentionally with you. Bye-bye.